feels passionate about helping the less fortunate. She hopes to work in the justice system in the future. So without further ado, Sister Rida, everyone.
Assalamualaikum everyone. So the poem that I'll be performing today is called Unknown. I am unknown, heard of but not shown, advertised and economically owned, suitable for marketing tactics, otherwise disowned, but starved and not grown, and thus our stomachs have become stones, where moneyless yet drowning in loans, and now it's all just about hatred that's chilling to the bone. I wake up to sounds of moans and groans of suffering people from poverty and famine, but it's not like they're alone, because today I have a story to share with you. A story that I hope will always be with you and hopefully help you see through your decisions and commitments, and of course your actions too. But before that, I just want you to take a moment and deeply reflect and think. Just imagine that lifestyle that such calamities bring, when you choke on your own breath because of lack of water to drink, where if you get a small meal you feel like a king, but you know it's not enough to survive. Your life's on the brink of you losing everything, just like it's about to sink. So now, whether you're in the shower or out shopping, I hope you don't blindly make a move without even stopping to think about what you're about to do, without even realizing that every little step you take towards consumerism affects our living, making it from bad to worse and from worse to life-threatening. Because what you must understand is that most of us are just little kids, but unlike you, we don't live like kids. We're adults of the present and remaining bones and bits of the future. Just like what has become of our so-called adult figures, of which some have died from hunger or disease, others dying from environmental calamities or economical crises, and some even leaving this world struggling just to see their children relieved of the pain and suffering of these horrific realities. My parents were among these people who gave their lives for our sake, for us to succeed and give life a new meaning and shape. But you see, it's just not that easy when everything you have is at stake, from your soul to your belongings. You never know what you lose and what stays. Suffering conditions that pound your head and make you astray, and helplessness and hopelessness that being society's grave. And now, one minute you may have everything, and the next minute it's all just snatched away. Just like a strong gust of wind blowing away dust and decay. And just like that, you go from life to death, from health to your last breath, from routine to living to your last test. And I can tell you this is true because I have witnessed the sudden moment when everything right in front of your eyes just takes its last chance. Because my father would walk miles and miles just for a meal, usually returning back with only waste and peels, and water was so scarce to go round, yet he would never steal. And my mother, she would always tell us to smile, for it has the power to heal. She would always tell us to be thankful to God, no matter how much pain we feel, because in the end, we would be rewarded in the next life where everything would be a fair deal. You see, these people were my inspirations of hope that had no limitations, of love so strong it wouldn't require any mediation. Their ways of thinking should be the Constitution, for it would bring peace and victory and intuition. But life is just not that fair. It doesn't care how much you bear, because now it's just littered on top, barbarians with so much power that they can't even stop. Whereas the innocent and leadership worthy are cropped, they try to help us, but it's always a flop. Because time doesn't wait for anyone, and once you're late, it's gone. They gave my parents hope, but I think it was just to keep them fond of the dream of life that they would conjure upon. And just like that, one day, the time came for both of them to leave us. Two little girls, all alone in a deserted, musty plain with storms of dust and an extreme hot climate with no water to quench the thirst. And at that moment, it was like we were living cursed, eyes overflowing with tears about to burst, and minds overflowing with words unsaid, and heart overflowing with emotions unexpressed. But then, I remembered what my father had told us, always to be patient in this life, and in the next life be reimbursed. But patience is hard when you see your loved ones lose at that moment when they turn blue, when they take their last breath right in front of you, giving you that taste of death while you're living your life through. When gradually the warmth of their hands begin to cool, their eyes becoming pale, their skin becoming colorless, just absolute silence and utterly motionless in a state where it's only death that will impress. And for a second, it's like your emotionless out of shock that is impossible to compress, and speechlessness that has got you oppressed. And then, after that sudden moment of realization, you hear the whining sounds of desertification, of extreme pain taking an immediate implementation on the lives of those who just saw this unbelievable situation. You see, this is the story story that can be told over and over and over again, but it always goes around and comes back to that statement because nothing is done about it. It's just a pretend to the people of wealth who can make a difference, who can help us to reestablish trend from economy to society to politics to farmlands. But I guess greed is just something that's more important, and it's sad to say, but it's become redundant that people now gain pleasure over others' misery, get happy over people's calamities because it becomes a means of profit, and the consumeristic disease not caring about the suffering, but instead just the money. So in the end, they can achieve all the success and quality. And once it's done, they forget about us like we're ghosts. Absolute silence, just the noise of wind blowing from coast to coast, a happening that I've always dreaded the most. So now, once again, I ask you to deeply feel and think and imagine the sight of your parents' dead bodies with insects hovering, sucking the very last sign of life out while you're just standing there staring out of so much shock that it's just throbbing. You look at them in the eye and you see bravery that's everlasting, and just like that, you shut their eyes, sobbing and praying. So next time you look at yourself in the mirror, just count your blessings because not everyone has happy endings. Know that there are people out there like me who are entrapped in this darkness and just want to break free and be unindulged from this darkness where it's impossible to see and away from this caged and prisoned life where it's impossible to breathe. It's like being sucked in a dark hole where it forces you to go down to your knees. From memories and flashbacks of loved ones hanging to thirst and hunger that have been nagging. And even after all that, even after 35,000 children have died, I remain unknown. I'm heard of, but not shown. My family's dead, but that's not known unless it's the means for profits to grow. And now that my story is done, I am disowned. Starved like never before, just looking like bones, and so thirsty that my organs have become stones. But like my mother said, always keep smiling. And therefore, I give you the smile as my act of charity, desiring that one day you or someone in these 7 billion people are willing to help me and my people that are suffering. Because time is ticking, but I am patiently awaiting.